office so that candidates and parties and the people can communicate without mortgaging their future and their integrity to the special interests. That's a basic right. Why can't we make it free and available to those who wish to participate? And that's why we have to ban political action committees so people and corporations are put on the same level. And that's why we have to fight to ensure that the minimum wage, the presidential wage, and the congressional wage show we're all in it together. All together, and the closer, the better. That's where solidarity comes from. But let's not get fooled by the false populism that comes to us out of the very concentration of wealth and power that we're sworn to oppose. Outside of advertising, there's no such thing as a billion-dollar populist. Mr. Perot, we can afford to pay for our own democracy. We don't need you to lend it to us. And with these tools of democracy, we're going to move to higher ground and restore the promise of democracy. And then truly, we'll be able to fight trade treaties that reduce wages and weaken environmental standards. And we can fight to assure that every child has a decent education, and every family a decent house, and every single American the health care they deserve. And we can fight to see that we have an environment that isn't poisoned, but depends on clean, renewable energy that the people of this country make for themselves. Ours is the oldest party in the world, and whatever change had to be made in this country, in this century that is, it was made through the Democratic Party. But the real changes, the things that really shook things up, these came from below, from the people themselves. The Democratic Party gave us the Wagner Act in the 30s for working people. But it was only after brave men and women marched and picketed, even unto death, that that law went on the books. In the 60s, the Democratic Party gave us civil rights laws, but only after a courageous woman, Rosa Parks, refused to go the back of a bus, and tens of thousands of ordinary people marched and protested and won against what was popular, even to the point of their own blood and even their own lives. And it's the Democratic Party today which stands behind the women of America in protecting their right to choose. But it was one woman, Anita Hill, who galvanized us all by standing up and speaking truth to power. And it's the Democratic Party which has the courage and the decency to champion in its platform the rights of gay and lesbian Americans. But only because courageous men and women were not afraid to talk back, act up, and call us to our better selves. Conventions and nominations are never endings, but only steps along the way. I intend to fight for this party, its ideals, tonight, tomorrow, this year, and every year, until together we overcome. And I want you to join me in that undertaking. And as we join together in this spirit, no obstacle will stand in our way. Victory will be ours because in our veins runs the blood who those at the darkest hour gave their lives so that this nation, under God, should have a new birth of freedom, and that the government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from this earth. We shall overcome, all of us together, working for what we believe. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Jerry Brown achieved what he wanted, a moment in the spotlight at this Democratic National Convention so that he could go through his telephone book of complaints about the system as it now exists including, he said, the need for free mailing to the post office for political people who want to communicate more directly with the potential voters out there. But of course, he hammered most of all his favorite themes of the role of corporate power in federal politics and the place of campaign finance. And to his credit this year, he has raised the disgrace of campaign finance to a higher and more visible level. And there is almost no one in any of the parties who believes that the current system ought to go on the way that it is. Jerry Brown is a politician with more than 9 lives. He's twice been governor of California. He's been a candidate for the U.S. Senate, 3 times a presidential candidate. He's studied at a Zen monastery in Japan, worked with Mother Teresa in India, returned to become the Democratic National Party chairman in the state of California, where he raised untold millions of dollars, and then ran as a presidential candidate at this time in a variety of wardrobes, including a flannel shirt, a Union jacket, pinstripe suits, whatever he needed, whatever the season. NBC's John Chancellor is here beside me. Do you think that we have heard the end of Jerry Brown? We have this year.
I don't think so. There has been a lot of speculation that he may be the head of an American Green environmental party within the next few years. What I thought was interesting, Tom, was that Ron Brown, the party chairman, speaking of this speech tonight, said, you know, this is not a celebration of the end of the primaries. This is the beginning of the fall campaign. And I don't think that Governor Brown, or former Governor Brown, met that standard tonight. It was very much looking back at his own campaign rather than ahead.
No endorsement of Bill Clinton, no testimonial to the Bill Clinton platform or to the Bill Clinton mission.
One little jab at Ross Perot. You can't have a billionaire populist, he said, but I think Tom, I really think it's what they expected Jerry Brown to do, and he did it. And the 20 minutes they told him he could have.
Jerry Brown's sister, Kathleen Brown, was featured at this convention last night. He said nothing about her as well, although he did open with remarks about his father, the former governor of California. It is Kathleen Brown that many of the California Democrats have high hopes for in the future of their party. And when she was on last night, Jerry Brown was on CNN and continued his interview without saying anything about, let's take a look at my sister down there at the podium. So politics runs deep, but it's always polite in the Brown campaign. Robin?
Thank you, Tom. At our skybox at Madison Square Garden is a panel of Democrats. They're Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi of California, the co-chair of the party's platform committee, Congresswoman Mike Espy of Mississippi, an early Clinton supporter, and Tony Anaya, former governor of New Mexico and a superdelegate to this convention. And with us here are David Gergen, editor-at-large of U.S. News and World Report, and syndicated columnist Mark Shields. What did you think of Jerry Brown's swan song, Mark?
I was not surprised. I think Jerry Brown has been treated rather shabbily in this campaign by most of us in the press. He did raise an enormously important issue, the unholy alliance of greed and political interest. And he spoke the truth. And more than that, he complimented Anita Hill for speaking truth to power. I think he spoke truth to power in this campaign. He made some bizarre moves, his endorsement and embrace of the flat tax during the campaign. Tactically, it was a terrible mistake to name Jesse Jackson as his running mate in New York.
Before talking to Jackson.
Well, and which probably cost him a chance of winning the New York primary, alienating a large number of Jewish voters.
He did win a couple of primaries, didn't he?
He won a number of primaries. He did Colorado and Connecticut, and he came in here with 600 delegates. But I think that he did do something important. He didn't. I don't know what he's going to do. He does march to a different symphony. It's more than a drummer. But I do think that he raised that issue, and he ran a campaign, Robin, credit must be given. He ran a campaign no one's ever done before.
In fact, Paul Tsongas, who we're about to hear from, said yesterday that he regretted that he hadn't thought of the idea of using the 800 number because his own name would have fitted it perfectly. Do you think we were unfair to, the media were unfair to Jerry Brown, David?
No. I would certainly agree. He brought a lot of good ideas, and he invented the technology, the 1-800 number, or at least exploited that. But when it comes to questions of personal character, the word gracious is not a word I think you would normally associate with him. Good, decent. Normally in a race like this, the appropriate thing to do is support the man who won the nomination of your party. To not mention Bill Clinton here tonight, I think it shows exactly why the Clinton people weren't terribly enthusiastic about putting him up. In fact, Robin, in his early attack on lawyers, he's opening up a vein that the Republicans hope to attack Bill Clinton on. They think he's supported by the trial lawyers of this country. It's what Dan Quayle has been arguing about for a long time, that we need to reform the legal system. And it's Bill Clinton who's getting support of the legal system. And I tell you something, I think the Republicans are going to go after him just the same way Jerry Brown did tonight.
Congresswoman Pelosi was just an embarrassment for the appearance of unity of the new party direction to have this this non-endorsement by Jerry Brown for 20 minutes tonight?
Well, I wouldn't call it exactly an embarrassment. You know, I'm from California, and we're used to this with Jerry Brown. He marches to his own drummer, and I believe that I think that this was a fine speech for him. It showed his brilliance and it showed his eloquence, but it did not show his sportsmanship. And that's something that he is lacking. It's time for him to get behind Bill Clinton. His remarks did not preclude an endorsement, but I believe he could have been more enthusiastic about our Democratic ticket. Whatever he thinks of it, he knows it's light years ahead of the Bush-Quayle ticket.
Congressman Espy, does this show some little failure on the Clinton and Ron Brown part not to be able to exact the endorsement from Jerry Brown as the price for speaking tonight in the way they were able to get a very warm endorsement in the end from Jesse Jackson?
Well, you know, if we can't get 100% endorsement, I think they'll be satisfied with about 99%. You know, there's one chink, and that might be the fact that there was a failure to get an endorsement from him. But I agree with what Nancy said. He does march to the beat of his own drummer. They perhaps tried to get some assurance or some degree of warmth or enthusiasm from him, but they didn't get it tonight, that's for sure.
How do you feel about the way Jerry Brown ended his campaign, Governor Naya?
Well, I think what was important tonight was that Jerry Brown was given a forum to speak. I think it would have been a terrible mistake had he not been allowed to speak from the podium. I think that what is important, or what will be important to me, and I think to many from here on out, will be to see how the Clinton campaign starts unwinding its strategy. Will it be an inclusive one, or will it be the exclusive strategy that many of us felt had been practiced throughout the primary season?
We'll let you develop those ideas further a bit later, Governor. Thank you for the moment. Jim?
Right. Jerry Brown was one of several problems Robin, Tom, and I discussed with Bill Clinton this afternoon, and